Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing tonight? I'm excited. I know Chad's excited here on another
I
live
am.
for Homebuyer Academy. You know, I'm your host, Maurice. And we got
And
Chad.
I'm your boy. I'm Chad Murray, owner of Elevated Funding, author of the Home Buying Blueprint. And it looks like we're going crazy, bro. What's going on here?
Oh, is it freezing? Or
Okay, I'm with you now. I just went over to Instagram to try to see if I could get set up. And here we go. Let's see how that looks.
yeah, if you guys are watching, go ahead and share this with at least
Yeah.
other people. If you're watching on Instagram, drop it in about DMs. If you're on Facebook, message about 5 to 10 people. It takes nothing to share it, but we're giving good free information about home ownership, about economic empowerment, and about how you can just elevate your funding. That was a shameless
To
plug.
elevate your funding.
And we got
Elevated funding. There you go. I love it,
we got some exciting
brother.
news. Got some exciting news. Some things we're working in the background. I don't know if we wanted to release it yet, but we have a nonprofit.
Oh, bro. Just let it out the bag.
Yep, just wanted to let it out. Um, Profit that we just launched, and we're excited. I'm super excited about it. A lot of great things in the works. Did you want to elaborate on it, or we just let the people just?
Well, that's good. I'm gonna let that simmer and flow, man. But I just want to let you guys know that we are out here
Mhm.
doing the good work, uh, working with the people to help everybody get ready to buy. And I see we have Jorge from Brazil in the building. Okay, wonderful. And do me a favor, like Maurice said, anywhere you are, if you're watching us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe, get involved in the conversation because what we're looking to do is to build a community around this whole home buying journey. On this journey, we're going to need the support of people in the community who offer different forms of funding, creative ways of selling and buying, contractors, appraisers. So get involved. If you have anybody that's looking to buy, let them know that this is a place for them. If their credit is poor, if they don't have any money, this is where you start. So we're very, very excited to be here for another Home Buyer Academy session. And like Maurice said, our focus is all about empowerment. So anyone you know that could use that empowerment, have them come here, join us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever else you're streaming. We're really getting out there and getting started. So, yeah, brother Mo, I'm hyped. I'm so excited, bro.
Excited too, man. Because we got a lot of stuff brewing, but tonight, we're gonna reel it in. And so we like to get grounded, and get centered, get into the moment. So I'm gonna toss that over to you, Chad. Just you wanna bring.
Yes, yes, yes. So yeah, Maurice, man. So I want to take this time for us to really get locked into the process of embodying, embracing, and allowing home ownership. Right, all of those things that home ownership represents: stability, security, experiences, moments, right? Like this past weekend was my daughter's birthday, third birthday, and being able to have like Mo, you and the kids were a great help, but being able to have family over, being able to create these moments and the memories, this is why we're here. These are the moments, and we want to be able to capture them in a way that is um, giving us the most opportunity to do it like us, whoever you are. So what we're going to do is we're going to just take a moment to really just get connected to the way of being that's going to allow home ownership. All right, so I just want to start by just taking a few deep breaths, and then we're going to go into just a little gratitude. So if you could just all take a deep breath in with me, get present to the moment, release the stress, strain of your day. Just take another deep breath in, and as you inhale, just taking the excitement that is awaiting you as you open the door to home ownership. And then we're going to go ahead and release all of the doubt, everything standing in the way, all of the no's, not yet, rejection, let it all out. And with this last inhale, I want you to feel yes. that feeling that you get when you've been grabbed that thing that you've been going for so long. Just grab that yes and hold on to it and just let go. All right. So for me, what I want to say gratitude for, what I want to share my gratitude for is um, just like I feel so blessed, right? I'd say home ownership to make it simple. Home ownership, right? Like I said, my daughter's birthday was this weekend, and just the whole setting, it was just something so blessed. And that happened because we were bold to go after the home that we wanted and we got it. And it's just this phase of the journey. So wherever you are, know that this phase of the journey is worthy for your victory, but it's not the last phase. So enjoy this one and keep your eye looking forward. So my gratitude is about where I am and the promise of where we're headed. How about you, Mo? What are you grateful for? What's your gratitude?
Um, I'm just grateful for just another day. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You know, I'm a man of faith, and so every single day I just got to give glory to God. Just because everything I have now, my whole tribe, you know, we got these businesses that we're building together, all these things that we're doing. It's all God. You know, just to be in the mental capacity with all I've been through in life to be here doing what I'm doing now. It's nothing short of God's grace and his awesomeness.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, bro. So, with that being said, we want to jump right into the evening. And one of the things that we're implementing is we're implementing a motivational message from Mo that is going to connect you and your money in a spiritual way. So, I'm going to go ahead and pass that over to you, Mo.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, uh, the first thing I want to discuss is that there's always this disconnect with understanding scripture as far as money being the root of all evil, when it's the love of money that is the root of all evil. And when it comes to building wealth and having ownership, it's important to understand that God truly doesn't want us to be in lack. He doesn't want us to be poor, because if we're always struggling from day to day, we're not going to have our focus on Him. We're going to have our focus on our bills and what we can and cannot do. And I wanted to bring to you guys a message of encouragement today from Deuteronomy 8 and 18, where basically it talks about how God is the giver of all wealth. All things come through God, and all things were created by God. Deuteronomy 8 and 18. Go ahead and read that scripture for yourself. But in that, we must understand that every good thing and everything really comes from God. So if we're struggling in any area, and specifically tonight we're talking about home ownership, if you're struggling in your process, just go to God. Go to God with that and believe that He can provide. Believe that He can provide the resources, the right people, the funds, the realtor, the mortgage broker, the company that's going to get you into that home. Once you give it over to God and trust the process, because number one, He's going to put that desire in your heart to be a homeowner. You clicked on this video not by any happenstance, but because it was divine for you to show up at this time to see this video and to get this specific word right now. This is confirmation that you're looking for. And in that, just go to God with it. And if you feel like, oh, it might not be the right time to buy, first and foremost, that's why we're here, give you this information, because it's a great time to buy right now. And even more so, if you feel like you're not financially prepared to buy, give it to God, because He will provide for you. And that's just a thought that I want to give you all on today. Um, in that regard, that when we really give everything over to God, God will provide and supply every one of our needs. I just cut it off there. Sorry, I just did a cold stop. Chad, any thoughts on that? I think you might have muted your mic.
Yeah, I think that's very powerful because we need to have faith through the journey. Oftentimes, we have scenarios where people might be excited about the process, but as they get hit by the different elements of it, it might be things that have their faith falter or make them buckle and feel as if maybe this isn't the move. But it's always those people who actually keep on going, realize that they were just at the 5 yard line, and that they didn't stop before they got their gold in the form of a key to open up their home. And opening up a home is so symbolic because, again, there's never just you're never fully ready in the sense that there's always this dynamic where if I wait, I could get more. If I'd have bought before, I would have gotten better. But the truth is, it's all a matter of being able to embrace the now. And like Maurice said, letting go, allowing God, and really trusting that each phase of the journey, you'll be able to be prosperous and successful. So yeah, man, it's a powerful word.
And so tonight's lesson, we're going to be actually I'm gonna give that over to Chad. He got the lesson for us tonight. We're gonna touch on another hot topic, I believe, just from what viewers are talking about in the current climate today.
Well, yeah. So what I wanted to talk about today was creative financing, and we're currently facing a market that, as you can see, there are more and more properties that are hitting the market. A lot of real estate agents are getting concerned because, it's great to be able to list a property, but if your property is there on the market and not selling, it's not doing you any good. And right now, what I want to have people to start looking for is the fact that now is the time to make offers. The only thing is, how do you know what offer to make unless you have the particular tool in your tool belt? Not every seller is going to be uh, have owned their home for 15 years. They have a ton of equity and they need to sell, and they have a fluctuation of how much they could walk away with. Some people might have just bought their house 2 years ago and might be facing a divorce and need to sell now, but don't have any equity. What happens then? Right? So what we want to start looking at is how can you become a solution to this particular real estate market? And what I wanted to really present was, as a home buyer, I think it's vitally important in this day and age to be able to just really start to tell people that you are looking to buy. The first thing you want to do is let it be known. It's not a secret. It's something that you want. And a lot of the times you do want to move and keep things, your cards close to your vest. However, when we're talking about this market and opportunities that are available now, the more you actually let it be known that you're looking to buy, the more the opportunity is going to find you. So we want to make sure that we're reframing the idea of what a home buyer does so that you'll be able to have success now and find yourself in the home that is going to be the beginning, the cornerstone to a beautiful life ahead. Now, what we want to focus on is first and foremost, and we'll put the QR code up there. If you want to schedule a call to talk about how you could actually buy your next home, how you can sell your next home, if you have any specific or detailed real estate question that you want us to go into, I could help you with the financing element. We could talk about how to structure your deal. But either way, we want to start to be in a position that you could be active no matter what your opportunity or obstacle is in this market now. So go ahead and book a call with me, and we'll be able to schedule a time that works for you. All right. So there are a few specific opportunity points when we talk about being a home buyer. And one thing that is totally overlooked, so many people don't know about it at all, but is truly, truly a nice little opportunity when we're talking about buying a house, all right? And this avenue is called buying a property using a gift of equity. Now, a gift of equity is specifically reserved for buying a property from a family member, right? So if your parent is selling it to you, or even a cousin or an aunt, if they're selling a house with that familial bond, they're able to give you equity from the property towards your down payment. This gift of equity now is an absolute game changer because what this does is it allows somebody to give an inheritance or at least bless a family member with equity and not have to and make the process as seamless as possible. So I'm going to give you an example from a numeric standpoint so you could really grasp what I'm saying, and I'll make it really, really clear. If a property has a the property has a value of 400,000, but you have a family member who's willing to give you that same property for 370,000. What can be done is the purchase price could be 40,000. The agreement would be 370,000, and that 30,000 can be used for down payment and closing costs. That is what a gift of equity is. So now, when you think about how many people in communities um, of color in particular, right? There's an issue with heirs properties. That means that grandma would have purchased a house, but there's no one in the family that's equipped to buy it. A big challenge as to why people aren't able to buy the heirs property, they don't have the down payment. Is it because none of grandma's children or grandchildren have a job? No, that's usually not the case. Is it the case that some of them may have credit issues? Possible. But the beautiful part about a gift of equity is that on an FHA loan, you would only need a 580 credit score. So you won't be limited as much by credit. If it needs work, it needs work. But guess what? Now you know the seller. You have the luxury of taking your time to get home buyer ready so that you qualify and are able to get the lower interest rate because you don't now have to worry about the down payment. You don't have to worry about the closing costs. This takes two parties. It takes a buyer that's willing, ready, and able to get their credit, income, and their overall uh, payment potential together to be able to purchase a house. And then it takes a seller who is a motivated family member who is looking to give their next of kin or their grandchildren or their niece or their parents a blessing. And this allows you to do that without any kind of financial barrier. That's taken out of the picture, guys. Now that down payment is no longer an obstacle as long as you're willing to concede that amount. If the property is worth $400,000 and you want top dollar, that's not necessarily blessing your family member. But if you are willing to give a concession to a traditional seller, if this is a family member, if you're willing to give more of a concession, now you'll be able to move, right? Because look at it this way, with the seller's concession, as I told you before, which is the seller being allowed to use a portion of their equity towards your closing costs, right? And you can go up to 6% with an FHA mortgage or up to a 4% with a conventional or VA mortgage. So now we're not beholden to that 4% or the 6% limit with the gift of equity. We could go to full 100 and go, well, not a full 100, right? But we could go all the way to 10% or more. So the reason why I say 10% is because for a conventional mortgage, you got to put 5% down under most cases, right? So if you're putting down the 5% plus closing costs could range in Florida between 4 to 4.25% around those ranges. So when you consider the 5% down and the 4.25 now, every dollar that you would have needed for closing, apart from your inspections and your appraisal, is covered. That's why this one piece of the puzzle is so powerful and so important. And if you have any questions about this process and if it would qualify for you and your family member, please leave it in the chat, or even better, schedule a call with me. Just hit that QR code, schedule a half an hour. We'll be able to break down the different ways that you could buy, sell, or even structure a deal to make sure that you create win-wins all the time. Now, what do you think about that so far, Mo? Let me go ahead and take a breath and see what you feel in terms of what you took from that process. Is that something that's a clear understanding of how people can utilize this tool to move forward?
Yeah, because it speaks a lot to the possibility. One thing I know for sure is, had I not been doing this, I wouldn't have known that. Even my years working in the bank, helping people, partnering with mortgage professionals for years, that was something I didn't know until I started working with you on that. That's a great source of information that I believe, if people were more knowledgeable of, they can see, okay, home ownership is really possible. Like, I knew about down payment assistance, I know about like gift from family, but the gift of equity was something that I learned more recently in my
Yeah.
and so that just kind of sheds light on the possibility of what's possible when it becomes homeowner.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, when you think about it, that's something that's plaguing our community, being able to transfer property from one generation to the next. And I
Yeah,
think with that understanding of that one piece, I think that we could go a long way to creating some options for the next generations of home ownership.
yeah, and it reminds me of what we spoke on a couple of weeks ago. Like you want to be able to acquire a home, but you don't want to put yourself in a bind trying to get that home, because I think what happens a lot,
Right.
like in our community too, is like they aren't educated enough in all the resources that they can have to get a home. Then they get put in a home that they really can't afford. Then they go into foreclosure, and now there's less home ownership in our communities. And so I believe that when we do it the right way, we set ourselves up right from the beginning. Getting the home ownership education. That's why it's good to book a call. Getting the right team behind you. Someone like Chad on the mortgage side, good realtors that we know. Um, Getting the right people to set you up so you can own a home and pass it on. Because the game, it's the long game with home ownership. There's so much value in home ownership, but it's not just about attaining that home. It's about building equity in that home and passing that home on to the next generation, and so on and so forth. So that
Yeah, no doubt. I feel you on that. So that's definitely going to be one thing. And again, gift of equity isn't for everybody. That's not something that everyone could benefit from. You might hear it in passing that someone wants to buy from a relative, and maybe you could give them the benefit, the blessing at that point, and share that with them then. But what I want to do is just to give people more options on how to buy rather than just looking at traditional avenues
right.
of buying a house. All right. So the next thing that I'm going to talk about, and I think that this is going to be a wild opportunity coming up. It's something that people always have a measure of interest in, but with the inventory the way that it was for so many years prior to now, just weren't enough takers. Why? Because if a seller could put a for sale sign in front of their yard in 2022, they put it out there at noon. By the time they come home for dinner, they got three offers. This is a very different market from that. And that leaves space for more opportunities, right? So, what I want everyone to start looking out for, if you have credit issues, if you don't quite have enough money to buy uh, a property right now in terms of your down payment and closing costs, look into a lease with an option to buy. A lease with an option to buy. Now is the time to make an offer. Now is the time because you have so many sellers who just are not in a position to be able to sell when they want to. With so many more buyers in the market than there are, I'm sorry, with so many more houses on the market than there are buyers, buyers are starting to realize that they have their pick. So what you have to do is position yourself as a seller to be able to sell that house in a way that is going to get to your goal in time. So right now, a lease option means that you can speak to a seller and offer to be a tenant in their property for the defined period of time,
Yeah.
right? So that what
Well,
happened?
now I was gonna ask a quick question.
Yeah.
Is that different? Because I hear a lot of rent to own. Is that the same thing, or could you?
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Rent to own. So you could put that. You could put rent to own. So rent to own. Now you set up a predetermined relationship. So you know that I'm only doing this as a tenant so that I could increase my credit, save more money towards the down payment. But a good part about it as well is that you could predetermine that the deposit that you put up front can be used for your down payment. So now if you put down 5,000, you're starting with 5,000 toward your down payment. So as you go through the process of renting for that year, you can also have a percentage of the rent go towards the amount for closing as well. So this opens up the door and it creates a win-win for sellers who have been struggling to get their home sold Maybe the property's been vacant for months and months and months, and they don't want to be left in a position that they're carrying this financial burden. You coming in as a tenant, putting down a larger deposit, and getting into a lease with an option to buy gives them the security of getting a security deposit up front. And it has a predetermined sales price that you now, as the buyer, has a lot of motivation to get. Why? Because you've already put the money down, which in some cases will be non-refundable. You also are going to have credits given to you based on making your payments every month. And after living in the house for a year, that could accumulate. So when you actually do the purchase, the amount that's going to be required out of pocket could be a lot less. And with that kind of an environment, you're going to build a rapport and a relationship with the seller, which is going to really allow you to be able to have more financing options and what you can get out of a concession. You might get higher concessions and pretty much be in a position that you close with minimal money down because you're choosing this rent with an option to buy. So Mo, I know you've heard of a lot of people talking about rent with options in the past, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and
and I know that's very popular. And well, I see it a lot. Those signs here in the Orlando area a lot. But what were you gonna ask specifically?
well, the thing is, a lot of people have been really excited about getting an opportunity like this. However, there are companies out there who do lease options, but their lease options end up being so prohibitive in cost. They ask for so much money down, the price ends up being so inflated. Now you have an opportunity to go right to sellers who have been selling for a long time and make them an offer. Make them an offer. If you don't have the credit, it gives you the time, and you could set the lease up to be for 1 or 2 years or 3 years, whatever you decide, whatever you can get the seller to agree with. But again, it's the direct pathway from the moment that you buy that, get into that lease, you might as well be ready to call yourself a homeowner because then it's just a matter of following through with the steps. You're in there, you got your toe in the water, and it's just a matter of putting in the work, following the steps, and allowing yourselves to actually get to the finish line, which would be home ownership.
I think that's a great option too for people that are comfortable with renting, and kind of because you have to have good credit to at least get a place. You have to have the income and the credit to rent anywhere. And so if you're unsure but you need a place to rent, you can see if that option's available because if you're already renting, you might as well, you know, have your cake and eat it too, right? So
Right.
you might as well see if okay, if I'm gonna be here for at least a year or 2 years, and this is something that we talk about too when we go out to organizations and we go out to churches, is that one of the driving forces provi- for providing this home buyer education is sustainability. When you become a homeowner, there's more likelihood that this person won't be quick to leave this job, or leave this location. Because they have an agreement to be in that land. So that's one of the things that we speak.
Well, I don't know what just happened to my brother Mo, but yeah, absolutely. A lease with an option to buy definitely gives you
Uh,
a leg up because it puts you in and allows you to just matriculate through the process until home ownership is yours. All right.
exactly.
So I see you fell off and left us for a second. You back with us?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I came back in. You were saying what I was saying, so perfect.
Yeah. Cool, man. So those are two options right now that again, if you're conscious of, these could be opportunities for you. It could be opportunities for a friend or family member. But again, let's always keep the conversation going because we don't want you to have questions and not have the outlet to get them answered. Go ahead and scan the QR code right here so that you could join our Facebook group. That's where we have those ongoing conversations about the nuances that are the difference between you renting and you owning. So go ahead and join our Facebook group and also look out for the link. We're going to be putting the QR code for you to schedule a call with us as well. We want to make sure that you have as much support as possible. So feel free to ask your questions here in the chat. We're going to be looking through it and following up with every answer that we could give. Mo has a few questions that people have asked from the Facebook group and from the emails that we'll jump into towards the end. But the last option that's a little bit outside the norm that I want you to take a look into and to really be conscious of right now. There are a lot of homeowners who do not have a mortgage on their property. And those are people who are looking to sell as well. However, they're in a unique situation in the sense that they just want them, in some cases, they want money. Sometimes they don't, and they want payments. If you find a seller who has no mortgage, what you can actually do is seller financing. So while a lot of the people that you're going to see with their properties listed on the market want to walk away with a lump sum, again, what you're looking for are people who've been trying to sell their house for a long time. And for people who have been trying to sell their house, but maybe, again, don't have a mortgage, an option may be for them to make long term money renting the house, but not renting the house, but giving you a mortgage on a house. So now you're paying every single month, and you could actually have a few different structures where you can have a 30-year amortized loan with a balloon after 5 or 10 years, meaning that you'd have to actually refinance out of it within that time, or else you could actually lose all of that time that you've spent putting money towards that purchase. But now you technically own the house in lieu of you paying the mortgage because it's seller financing, and now the seller becomes the bank. And when the seller becomes the bank, as long as you fulfill the terms of your arrangement, you are now the home buyer. So what that makes it possible for you to do now is, as a lease, I'm sorry, with doing seller financing, after a year of you making those payments, you can now get a loan as a refinance. And with the loan as a refinance, what are you not having to do? Come out of your pocket with a down payment. You'd be able to take cash out if you have the purchase price with enough equity built in. But that transition from owning as a lease option buyer, well, or should I say a seller financing buyer, that now again puts your foot in the door where you don't have to go through traditional avenues of home ownership by getting a mortgage. Now you are going straight to the seller, straight to the owner, and they'll be the ones holding the mortgage. What is the benefit for somebody trying to sell their house that would do this? The benefit is that, first off, if they don't have a mortgage, they could start getting paid right away. And that paper that they put on, um, they give you that says that if you make these payments, you own the house. That is uh, the mechanism that they could use to also foreclose on you. So let's say you go into this lease option and you put down 5%, right? And or more, whatever it may be. And now you're making your payments every month, and you go through hard times, or you just say, you know what, I think I'm in there, I'm not making any more payments for whatever reason, they can still foreclose, kick you out, take the property back, and sell it again. But they would have made all of that money in the process. So they're not doing it to kick you out, but they're protected, just like a bank would be protected in giving you a mortgage. But just like a bank, and most importantly, just like a bank, they'll be able to make interest on a long term on you making your mortgage payments. Real estate's one of the most secure investments. People need a place to live. So if you are paying me, that means that you're paying for my lifestyle. Plus, when you actually sell it, when you actually refinance, you're going to pay off this mortgage that you owe me. If you keep on paying, you could pay me off and I'll make hand over fist more than what I lent, because that's the game of lending. And that's why banks do it. And that's why they're the biggest buildings in every city that you go through. So consider these as different ways to approach the home buyer market. If you're getting turned away by traditional sellers because your credit might not be up to par, this is a great option for you. Also, these other two options in terms of a lease with an option to buy and gift of equity are just different ways that you could actually step outside of the box and get financing that could be more favorable for you. And if you want to learn more about how you can do it, go ahead and schedule a call so we could talk more details about those and any other mechanism that you want to utilize to buy or sell your home.
Awesome. And if you're ready, I got a couple questions that I got queued up, but I also want to plug in right here that we're adding something new to the end to kind of make it a little bit more fun. So if you have any questions or like videos that you want to send us and say what are your thoughts on this, but I saw somebody in the chat ask about the dedication. We're not talking about that. We're talking
Nah,
about
we not going
ownership. We're talking
there.
about real
Yep.
estate. Anything in the realm of our expertise. We want to talk about that, right? Like, what do you think about attaining this home? So, one of the first questions here that I have is, if someone feels like they're living check to check, what are some what strategies that they can overcome or start building their savings?
Well, the a lot of the times when people are in that position that they're overextended, a lot of it is because they're paying interest and not collecting interest. And when you're paying interest on credit card debts, it's taking money away from your wealth and having you on a consistent treadmill where you're not making any forward progress on your financial goals because as you make a payment, there's more interest behind it. And what I'd recommend people do is to first and foremost, if you're struggling with high utilization on your credit card debts, stop. The first thing is you got to stop using the credit. So once you stop digging that hole, right? And it gives you an opportunity to really hone in on focusing on eliminating your debt, starting with the smallest item, utilizing the debt snowball method. This debt snowball works because it helps you to build momentum as you go, not just as the amount that you're paying towards your credit grows as you eliminate items, but also the faith and the belief that you're doing it and you're seeing it and your scores reflecting in it. So start there. Start there. You always want to start by eliminating credit card debts and then stopping and taking a look at where your money's going right now, right? Because that's going to allow you to be intentional about where you want it to go. All right. So those are the two things that I would say stop using your credit cards and then really take a very strong look at where your money's going right now so that you could reclaim the direction of your money and your credit.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that last part because that really comes down to budgeting. I love to talk about budgeting and how that
Hmm.
can change your life. So if you really look at and not only like credit cards, but any other reoccurring payments or subscriptions or anything that you can maybe go without for the next 6 to 12 months. Like, can you cancel your Netflix and Hulu and
Right.
all these subscriptions for the next 6 to 12 months because you have home buying goals? That can be an extra $50, either paying down your credit or putting towards savings. So it's the little things like, do you eat out every day? Could you eat out half the time? All those little things, those little nuances can really make a difference in that effort. And you start finding money that you realize was there the whole time. And then you start to kind of breathe from not living. You won't feel like you're living check to check anymore because you're actually uh, managing your expenses. So let's see here. So here's another one. Could you borrow against your 401k, and is it wise to pull out from like a retirement kind of account to pay down my house or pay, down payment?
Well, to it's definitely an option. It's definitely an option, and I would say more times than not, that's not what we want to do.
Right.
Every time, that's not what we want to do. There are circumstances when you have to make a move, and you're going to use that money for your rent or a house. In that case, it's absolutely 100% use it for a down payment in the house. Explore all of the different down payment options before you do that. Um, you'll be able to take advantage of the many county programs that are based on your income and family size. There are other state programs like Hometown Heroes that isn't as restrictive in terms of how much money you can make. So explore those options before you really dig into your retirement accounts, because the challenge is all of this time that you put into the retirement, depending on the kind of policy you have, when you pay it back, you can pay yourself interest in some cases, which could be beneficial, but other cases you stop the growth of that account by taking the money out. Uh, and that's pretty much true of most retirement compared to like insurance, for example. But if we could avoid that and have you take advantage of down payment assistance, have you take advantage of concessions. That's why it's very important that you reach out to a real estate professional that's savvy, that could look at a problem and see a solution. So right now, if your limitation is income, and as a matter of fact, that's a challenge that I'm dealing with one of my clients right now. They came in looking to put money from their 401k, but instead, they actually came to me through a very, very strong real estate agent. The agent is working on getting all kind of concessions, and we're getting down payment assistance from Orange County. So now they're keeping their retirement money, but they're buying their house.
So and I guess we'll do one more. You
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
do more? All right. So it's kind of pertaining to the subject today. Um, are there any other kind of places you can look for funds outside of it looks like outside of like down payment assistant, like maybe uh, other types of government loans or charitable organizations that will give to families? Are you aware of any of those kind of programs?
Well, depending on what company you work at, a lot of companies offer down payment assistant grants. You just have to ask about them. And again, it's not going to be a ton of them or all of them. Usually, the bigger ones that are more community centered and focused uh, have strong programs that you'd want to look into. So look for your employer. But again, if you're looking to get the best option and opportunity in the market, look for a seller that has been trying to sell for a long time. Whether that's in your church, whether that's in your where you work, talk about it, talk about it, talk about it. Because if you get to meet a seller face to face before they're actually on the market selling, that means that you can now work out a deal. And guess what? If you don't know all of the jargon and you don't know all of the necessary documentation, you could bring in someone like me at that point to pretty much help to put the deal together. But at least you're not having to just go to somebody that is on the general market. You get to structure the deal before it gets to that point, which allows you to take advantage of more concessions, which allows you to be able to take advantage of things like seller financing and other just strategic ways to purchase a property. But you get there by just talking about it. Once you're a year or 2 years out, tell everybody that that could hear you about how you're going to be a home buyer and how you're looking to buy.
Awesome, awesome. So those are all the questions that we have for today. Any closing thoughts or anything that you want to give to the people before we head out?
Well, listen, I want to get your feedback. We're here to serve and we want to be able to do a great job for you. So if you could give us some details as to what we can talk about that you're interested in, that you want to learn about and know more about, let us know. Go ahead and put it in the comments so that we could really grow with you and help you to get towards your home buying goals. So we're honored and blessed to be here to serve you Tuesday to Tuesday. Schedule a call with us, join our Facebook group, like, comment, and subscribe. And we want to see you back here again next Tuesday at 7 o'clock with another episode of Homebuyer Academy.
And thank you guys for those questions that you've given us. They truly have been amazing. And he said it all, so I don't have to say anything else. That's kind of a cool line. All right, so I'm gonna catch you guys next week. Thank you guys. Love y'all. God bless y'all. See y'all next time.